Our planet hides landscapes so strange they seem borrowed from space. Earth works like a master sculptor, shaping jagged stone waves, neon-colored springs, and towering rock spires. These surreal places expand the imagination and make you feel like an interstellar traveler. Get ready to explore the world's most breathtaking geological wonders, places that truly look like they belong on another planet. Number 16. Monte Roraima, the Table Mountain. Have you ever seen a mountain that looks like a table from above? Monte Roraima is exactly that. A giant flat-top mountain rising out of the jungle. It reaches 2,810 meters, with sheer cliffs about 400 meters high that drop straight into the rainforest below. This mountain sits where Venezuela, Brazil, and Guyana meet. The local Payman people call it a tepui, which means the house of the gods. Monte Roraima is very old. It formed nearly 2 billion years ago, and kept its shape even as the supercontinent Gondwana fell apart. The rock of Roraima is mostly compressed quartz sandstone. That stone is very hard, which helped the mountain survive for ages. Moist air hits the cliffs and creates a constant fog that wraps the summit in mist. Because the top is cut off by vertical walls, life there is isolated. Plants and animals on the plateau evolved on their own for millions of years. More than 35% of the species found on the summit live nowhere else on Earth. One small survivor is the Roraima black frog. It is an ancient-looking amphibian that cannot swim or hop. It only crawls. The soil on the summit is poor in nutrients, so some plants adapted by trapping and eating insects. The high plateau also hides mazes of strange rock formations and sparkling valleys that look almost like crystals. Monte Roraima feels otherworldly, a real-life lost world where time moved differently and life followed its own path. Number 15. Tisangay de Bemaraha, Needles of Stone. Imagine a forest made not of trees but of sharp stone. Towers of limestone rise like knives from the ground. They can reach up to 100 meters high. These spires began forming more than 200 million years ago. Tectonic forces lifted the rock and monsoon rains carved it into jagged shapes. The local name, Singi, means where one cannot walk barefoot. That warning makes sense when you see the razor edges and narrow paths. The place is a maze of pinnacles, hidden caves, and swinging suspension bridges. Walking here is not for the faint of heart. Visitors must climb cliffs, cross shaky bridges, and squeeze through tight gaps. You need good fitness and a steady nerve to explore it. Singi is more than a dramatic landscape. It is a vertical world full of life. Tiny pockets of soil and shadow host plants that cling to the rocks. Endemic lemurs and exotic birds live on the narrow ledges and in the crevices. Over time, many species adapted to this harsh, isolated home. The result is a living labyrinth, one that looks out of this world, yet teems with strange, stubborn life. Singi de Bemaraha is both a geological wonder and a fragile refuge for species found nowhere else on Earth. Number 14. Ha Long Bay, Stone Forest of the Sea. Ha Long Bay feels like a place from another world. Sharp limestone towers rise straight from green water. Hundreds of islands stand like sentinels across the sea. These cliffs formed very slowly. Layers of limestone accumulated about 340 million years ago, deep beneath the ocean. Over millions of years, the sea and rain wore the rock away. Tectonic forces lifted the land. The result is the strange, jagged landscape we see today. Scientists use two main names for the shapes here. Fengchong are clusters of peaks packed together. Fenglin are lone, isolated towers that jut up by themselves. Both give the bay its haunted, dramatic look. Caves hide beneath the islands. Sungsat, or Surprise Cave, opens into huge chambers filled with stalactites and stalagmites. Forests and mangroves cling to the cliffs. Coral reefs live where the water is shallow. Life has adapted to the bay's unusual geometry. People live here as well. Small fishing communities float on houses anchored in calm coves. Boats weave between the towers. Visitors come for the views, the caves, and the quiet mystery of a place carved by time. Ha Long Bay is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Its stone forests record ancient seas and long changes. Standing there, you can almost feel the slow pull of time shaping the world. Number 13. Devil's Tower, the giant's finger of the prairie. Imagine a giant from another world suddenly rising out of the flat prairie. That is how Devil's Tower first grabs your attention. It soars alone above northeastern Wyoming, a steep stone needle that reaches 867 feet from its base to its top. From far away, it looks like a massive column of stacked logs, all lined up in neat hexagons. Long ago, about 40 million years ago, the story of the tower began beneath the ground. Hot magma pushed up into soft layers of rock and cooled slowly. As the rock cooled, it cracked into those regular column-like shapes you see today. Wind and rain wore away the softer rock around it, leaving the hard columns standing proud and tall. For many Native American tribes, this place is not just a geological wonder, but a sacred one. More than 20 tribes honor the tower and call it Bear Lodge. They tell stories and hold ceremonies that connect them to the land and to the tower's deep past. In modern times, it became the dramatic landing spot for aliens in Steven Spielberg's 1977 film, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. But whether in film or in ceremony, Devil's Tower feels like a point where earth and mystery meet, ancient, strange, and unforgettable. Number 12. Antelope Canyon, carved by light. Antelope Canyon sits in the American Southwest like a secret waiting to be found. Sunlight pours through narrow openings and turns the walls to liquid fire. The canyon's smooth, flowing shapes look like waves frozen in stone. Wind and flash floods carved the canyon over thousands of years. Water rushed through tight cracks, cutting deep channels in the sandstone. Wind finished the work, polishing the walls into graceful curves and swirls. Visitors come to see two main sections. The crack is the most popular. It is flat and easy to walk. Around midday in summer, from about 10:30 in the morning until 1 in the afternoon, shafts of light beam through the narrow roof. The light falls like spotlights on the sand and rocks. Photographers and travelers flock here for that magical hour. The corkscrew is harder to reach. Its route is V-shaped and narrow. You climb metal stairs and wind through tight turns. The corkscrew rewards the effort with the most intricate patterns. The stone twists into tight spirals and folds. Fewer people go there, so the silence feels complete. Inside Antelope Canyon, colors shift with every step. Deep orange warms to soft purple. Shadows hide details and then reveal them in a single ray of light. The place feels quiet and very old, like a landscape from another world. Number 11. Uluru, the living red heart of the desert. Uluru rose like a giant heart from the middle of the red desert. It appeared suddenly from the flat land, smooth and solitary. The rock was a deep red, a red that seemed almost alive. It towered 348 meters above the ground and extended for kilometers beneath the surface. People who saw it felt as if they were looking at something from another world. Uluru is not only tall, it is immense. From a distance, it looks like a single solid block. Up close, however, you can see cracks, caves, and ancient rock art carved by people long ago. Its color shifts with the light. At sunrise and sunset, the stone moves from bright orange to deep purple. Rainstorms bring another surprise. Water runs down the steep ridges in sudden, short cascades. For a few hours, the dry rock becomes a place of sudden rivers and wet sound. Scientists call this type of lone rock an Inselberg. The term means island mountain. Long ago, about 400 million years in the past, forces deep in the earth tilted a layer of rock almost upright. Over time, the softer ground eroded away while the hard rock remained. The result is a near-vertical slab rising from a plain, solitary like an island in a sea of sand. Uluru is about 3.6 kilometers long and 1.9 kilometers wide. That scale, combined with shifting colors and sudden waterfalls, gives it an otherworldly feel. To stand at its base is to encounter deep time and powerful geology. It feels both ancient and alive, a simple shape that holds many stories. Number 10. Fairy chimneys, towers from another world. Fairy chimneys rise from the ground like towers from another planet. Locals call them fairy chimneys, hoodoos, or earth pyramids. These tall, thin spires wear harder rock like a hat. That cap rock protects the softer stone beneath. The result is an odd, almost alien silhouette. The story begins with fire. Long ago, great volcanoes buried the land in soft ash called tuff. Later eruptions dropped harder rock, such as basalt or limestone, onto that soft layer. Tectonic shifts and time opened cracks and vertical fissures in the stacked rocks. Rain, wind, and freezing temperatures then did their slow work. The soft tuff washed and blew away faster than the hard caps. Left behind were columns with protective hats, the mushroom shape we recognize. One of the most famous places on Earth to see them is Cappadocia in Turkey. There, the chimneys grow by the thousands. People found shelter inside the soft rock. Over centuries, they carved homes, churches, and whole underground cities into the spires. Walking through Cappadocia feels like stepping into a living, ancient sculpture. Back in North America, a different mood appears. In New Mexico, strange badlands stretch across the desert. Olive-colored, mushroom-like formations rise from the plains. They are quieter and lesser known, but no less strange. Wind and water shape them into odd shapes and soft curves. These formations teach a simple lesson. When hard and soft rocks meet, erosion tells the tale. The harder stone survives while the softer stone wears away. Over thousands of years, nature sculpts towers that look almost unreal. They remind us that Earth still makes strange, beautiful things slowly, patiently, and with surprising creativity. Number 9. Danxia, Zhongye Rainbow Mountains. The Danxia landform appears like a painting from another world. One moment it feels calm, the next it seems alive. The colors shout and then whisper. This landscape is mostly in China. The most famous area is the Rainbow Mountains in Zhongye. From a distance, the hills look smooth. Up close, the rocks are sharp and folded. Layers of red sandstone and other sediments built up over 24 million years. Small amounts of iron and other minerals slowly change the colors. Over time, the rock became rust red, bright yellow, deep green, and orange. The stripes stacked like pages in a giant book. Wind and rain carved those pages into strange shapes. Water cut deep ravines and left tall pillars and steep towers. Massive blocky bluffs stand beside narrow valleys. The carved cliffs reveal the hidden stripes beneath. The light changes everything. In the morning, the colors appear soft and pastel. After rain or at sunset, they flare like neon. The scene can feel peaceful and then suddenly unreal. Walk among the towers and you feel small. The land looks old and restless. It keeps its secrets in bands of color, folded and waiting. Number 8. The 12 Apostles, Victoria's limestone stacks. The 12 Apostles rise from the boiling southern ocean like ancient sentinels. These tall pillars of limestone reach up to 45 meters into wind and spray. You find them along the Great Ocean Road in Port Campbell National Park, Victoria. People travel from around the world to see these strange shapes carved by nature. Surprisingly, there were never 12. At the start of the 21st century, there were 9. Waves and storms continue to eat away at them, and now only 7 remain. The sea still works, sculpting and toppling these stone towers. This place began its life many millions of years ago as the seafloor. Tiny shells and other marine fragments sank, piled up, and turned into soft limestone. Over time, huge shifts in the Earth's crust lifted those layers above the water. Once exposed, the rock faced the full force of the Southern Ocean. Waves hammered the cliffs, carving caves where the water found weak spots. Those caves grew deeper and became arches. Then the arches fell. Left behind were lone stacks, standing like islands of stone. Each one tells a long, slow story of uplift, erosion, and collapse. On foggy mornings, the stacks appear otherworldly, dark silhouettes against a gray sky. In sunlight, they glow honey gold, revealing bands and cracks that mark their long history. The 12 Apostles are not only beautiful, they are a living record of the Earth's slow, powerful changes. Number 7. Wadi Rum, the Valley of the Moon. Wadi Rum feels like an entirely different planet. Red sandstone mountains rise like giant teeth. Golden dunes stretch away into the distance. Wind and time have carved strange shapes from the rock. People call it the Valley of the Moon. The iron-rich stone glows at sunrise and sunset. Filmmakers favor this landscape. Scenes from Dune and The Martian were filmed here because it looks so alien. Look up and you might see the Umfruth Rock Bridge, a natural arch nearly 15 meters high. Not far away stands the Burda Rock Bridge, huge and graceful. The 7 Pillars of Wisdom rise like a row of silent guards, named for T.E. Lawrence's famous book. Walk into Kazali Canyon, and the walls close in. It feels like stepping into an old secret. Wadi Rum is also a book of human stories. More than 20,000 petroglyphs and inscriptions are carved into the stone. They record 12,000 years of people passing through, hunting, living, and leaving marks that helped shape alphabets and language. At night, the desert sky opens wide. Far from cities, the stars are brilliant and endless. In Wadi Rum, the land and the sky together create a place that feels entirely out of this world. Number 6. Cathedrales de Marmol, nature's sculpted masterpiece. The marble caves feel like a painting carved by time. They sit on the edge of a bright turquoise lake in Chilean Patagonia. For more than 6,000 years, glacial meltwater has cut into the cliffs and shaped a lacework of marble. The water smoothed the stone into curving halls and thin pillars. Visitors know 3 main rooms: La Catedral, La Capilla, and La Cueva. Light moves across the marble and the patterns change with the day. Blues deepen, whites glow, and grays fade. When the lake rises, colors shift again, creating new reflections and shapes. The glow comes from the water. It is clear and bright, filling every hollow and mirror-like surface. Ripples and waves draw swirls across the stone, as if an artist keeps painting the walls. The caves are fragile. In 1994, they became a national monument to protect them. Boats still enter carefully, but people must not touch the carved surfaces. These rules help keep the caves whole for future visitors. Standing by the shore, you see more than rock. You see slow motion, thousands of years of water and ice shaping something almost unreal. The marble caves look like another world, yet they were made by the quiet work of nature, patient and relentless. Number 5. The Chocolate Hills, Science and Legend. The Chocolate Hills in Bohol, Philippines are more than 1,200 cone-shaped limestone mounds that roll to the horizon. In the dry season, their grass turns a rich brown, and the whole island seems dusted in cocoa. These strange hills began under the sea. Coral reefs built up for millions of years. Tectonic forces lifted the reef above the water. Rain, cracks in the rock, and relentless erosion then carved the reefs into neat, round cones. Geologists call this cockpit karst, a landscape shaped by weathering and time. Local stories offer a different origin. People say two giants fought there, throwing mud and rocks for days. When the giants left, the thrown earth hardened into the hills. The legend explains what science maps out, a dramatic past that left a surreal landscape. Whether formed by ocean, time, or myth, the Chocolate Hills feel out of this world. They are simple, uniform, and strangely perfect. From a distance, they look almost man-made. Up close, you can see the slow work of nature written on every slope. Number 4. Salar de Uyuni, the world's largest mirror. Salar de Uyuni feels like another world. You step onto a plane so white it hurts your eyes. This is the largest salt flat on Earth, stretching across more than 10,500 square kilometers in the Bolivian Andes. Long ago, huge lakes covered this basin. Over 40,000 years, they dried up and left a vast salt bed. Today, the flat holds an estimated 10 billion tons of salt. Under that crust lie enormous lithium brines, a hidden resource with rising value. When the wet season arrives, shallow pools spread across the plain. For a few months each year, the salt becomes the largest mirror on the planet. The reflections erase the horizon. Walk there and you feel as if you are walking on clouds. In the dry months, the scene changes again. The water disappears and the crust cracks into perfect hexagonal patterns. The surface becomes an endless white grid so flat and regular that satellites use it for calibration. Salar de Uyuni is both simple and strange. It records ancient climates, stores minerals, and stages one of the most surreal sights on Earth. Number 3. Giant's Causeway, nature's perfect puzzle. On the north coast of Northern Ireland lies a place that looks as if someone carved it by hand. More than 40,000 hexagonal basalt columns rise from the shore in neat, interlocking rows. This is the Giant's Causeway. About 60 million years ago, the ground here was filled with molten lava. As the lava cooled, it cracked. The cracks lined up into nearly perfect six-sided columns. Wind and sea wore the rock for millions of years, smoothing the tops and shaping the steps we walk on today. From a distance, the causeway feels too regular to be natural. People have told that story for centuries. One famous legend says the Irish giant Finn McCool built the bridge to fight a Scottish rival. The sight is both strange and deeply human, a natural wonder that inspired a myth. Today, the Giant's Causeway is Northern Ireland's only UNESCO World Heritage Site. Visitors can follow cliff trails or walk down to the water and step across the basalt columns. Look closely, and you will find nearby shapes with their own names: the Giant's Boot, the Honeycomb, and the Wishing Chair. Each one is another page in a landscape that feels, rightly, out of this world. Number 2. The Bungle Bungles, Australia's living domes. The Bungle Bungles rise like giant beehives from the red earth of Western Australia. From a distance, they look almost handmade. Up close, they feel ancient and alive. These rounded towers are sandstone-shaped over 20 million years. They stand in Purnululu National Park, a place listed by UNESCO. The towers are about 360 million years old in their rock history, but their beehive shapes are much younger. Deep chasms and narrow gorges cut through the maze. Light falls into places called Cathedral Gorge and Echidna Chasm, making them glow. The stripes on each dome are striking. Orange bands come from iron in the rock that has rusted in the sun. Dark gray bands are living, a crust of ancient cyanobacteria. This living skin keeps the rock from wearing away. Over time, changing moisture and tiny life forms painted these bold stripes. Local Gija people call the place Purnululu, meaning sandstone. They have lived here for more than 20,000 years. The land is not just a natural wonder, it is a place of deep cultural meaning and quiet stories. Stand quietly among the domes, and you feel both the slow work of nature and a strong human presence. The bungles seem out of this world, but they also hold the slow, patient record of Earth and of the people who have known it for millennia. Number 1. Cave of the Crystals, Giants of Glass. Deep beneath the desert, hidden inside a mine, is a chamber of giant glassy swords. Light catches on their smooth faces, and the world above feels impossibly far away. This is the Cave of the Crystals, 300 meters below the Naka mine in Chihuahua, Mexico. Miners discovered it in 2000 and could hardly believe their eyes. Inside, selenite crystals grow so large they dwarf people. Some reach about 12 meters long and weigh as much as 55 tons. These crystals did not form quickly. They grew over hundreds of thousands, maybe nearly 1,000,000 years. The secret was the water. The cave sat full of mineral-rich groundwater warmed by magma. That steady, hot bath kept conditions perfect for crystals to form, one tiny layer at a time. The cave stays at a near constant temperature of around 58 degrees Celsius. Humidity is almost always between 90 and 99%. In that heat and damp, a person cannot cool down by sweating. Without special suits cooled by ice, a visitor would soon get heat stroke, and dangerous fluid could fill their lungs. Because the crystals are so fragile and the environment so extreme, the mining company stopped pumping the water out in the 2010s. Today, the chamber stays flooded on purpose. That keeps the crystals safe and lets them keep growing, silent and slow, deep under the earth.